Hi everyone, it's Linnea for LDRS Creative, and Christmas may be over, but I am not out of the wintry mood yet. So I'm going to create a black and white background with just some easy pops of color. So I knew I wanted to use that log cabin stamp set. It's one of my favorites that was recently released, and I haven't used it a lot yet. And I wanted to pair it with the Snowball Fight stamp set, and this was released last winter, but I love these little foxes and I thought they would be great for adding little pops of color. So I chose some of my favorite images and I stamped them with Raven Hybrid ink, and now I'm just going to color them up with some alcohol markers. I'm using some yellow-red colors for the actual fox bodies themselves, and just adding darkest color where I think there should be shadows. There are lots of ways to color, and so I always say to color how you learned and how you are most comfortable. I learned to color dark to light to create the most intense shadows, so that's how I like to color. So I like to lay down my darkest color, which for the little fox bodies is YR27. Then I'll come in with my medium color, which was YR24, and just blend out those darkest shadows a little bit. And then come in with my lightest color, my YR23, and color over the whole image and blend all of those colors together, and that will give me both highlights and shadows very easily. I'm going to use some E53 and E51 for the face and little tip of the tail of the fox to create that kind of warm brownish color. For the snowman, I wanted to create the white of snow, but I don't like to leave images just white most of the time. You're going to see that I do leave one main image just white on this card, but I wanted to make sure that all of my images that were in the foreground had a little bit of shadow so they stood out from my image that I'm going to leave white. So when I want to do that, I like to use cool grays. So I started with C3, blended out with a little bit of C1, and then my zero colorless blender all over. And I will do that again with this snow mound here that this other little fox is working with. Then I'll add some bright colors like pinks and teals for the mittens and sweaters and scarves on the fox and the snowmen. I'm going to grab the coordinating Snowball Fight die set and choose my dies, and then I'll tape those in place and run them through my die cutting machine. I set those to the side. Like I said, I knew that I wanted to use this log cabin, but coloring a large image is sometimes intimidating to me. So I thought it would be fun to leave this as a black and white image and have those little foxes be the pop of color onto the front. So I stamped that log cabin with Raven Hybrid ink. I cut that out with the log cabin die set. There is an additional die that would cut open the doors and the windows, but I just used the outline die. Now to keep in this black and white pattern, or theme rather, I chose a piece of pattern paper from the Mackenzie Christmas paper pack. Now again, I know Christmas is over, but a lot of the patterns in this paper pack can be used outside of the holiday season, and they just look wintry. I used the A2 diagonal stitched layered card toppers die set, and I cut a piece of white cardstock with the largest die. Then I cut that checked pattern with the second largest die. I added my log cabin on top with some foam tape, and then I'm going to add my little Snowball Fight critters on top with some additional foam tape. So I have a couple layers here for dimension. Now here's where I realized I forgot to add a sentiment. So I'm just kind of holding my stamp set over top of my log cabin and finding a sentiment that I thought would work. I thought about stamping this in a bright pink ink or something to really stand out, but I liked the look of stamping it with Raven Hybrid ink and bubble cutting around the sentiment and then popping that up right in the middle of that log cabin. I'm really loving this black and white theme with just these pops of colors on the images. I added some sparkle to my images to make them stand out just a little bit more, and this card is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial and that this inspires you to create a black and white card with little pops of color. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye!